What is going on, everybody? I am back, and now there were two. The Super Bowl is set, the championship games are in the books, and it is the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs as the two teams left, are the only two teams left standing that will meet in Arizona in just a couple weeks. Hope you guys all had a chance to watch the games today, and hope you guys are ready for the Super Bowl. It's crazy how we get to the most important game of the season, obviously, with the Super Bowl, the biggest game of the year, all the anticipation. And it's crazy. You never stop and think there's only one game left in the football season. 200 and, what was it now, 72, because they played the 17 weeks, plus four set, like 13, 14 playoff games, and now just one game to go. So always a little bittersweet because it's great. We love the Super Bowl, but it's always sad when the season no matter what has to come to an end. Obviously, two very different games today. The Eagles-Niner game was, pretty much all Eagles, and then for the Niners, unfortunately, losing Brock Purdy, and then Josh Johnson comes in and just he's been around a while, but he's a journeyman practice squad quarterback. Shanahan's a tremendous, outstanding play caller. Probably one of the best and maybe the best in the business, but there comes a point when eventually the quarterback injuries catch up, and then they did for the Niners today. And then Josh Johnson goes out with a concussion injury. Purdy comes back in. They can't even throw the football. So just a very bizarre game. The Eagles' defense was tremendous. Their pass rush got home. Their run defense was great. Their offense didn't have to do much, so it's hard to really judge the Eagles today. They weren't really tested. Now, to their credit, they put the hit on Purdy that caused the injury, that one on Josh Johnson. But their pass rush was outstanding. But their secondary played well when they had to. Their run defense buckled down when it became apparent that it was just going to be CMC and I think Tevin Coleman running the ball because Elijah Mitchell was out as well for the Niners. But, for the Niners, they tried running the ball to Debo. They even did an end around to Kittle at one point. They just didn't have a chance to get their superstars the football. So kind of hard to judge the Niners today. It's a loss, and in a year where, they looked like a team that could win the whole thing, they come up short a little bit. So, like I said, hard to kind of hold them to anything. It was just a tough situation for them. But unfortunately, you don't get extra points for putting up a fight without any quarterback. So the Eagles move on. Like I said, hard to judge Jalen Hurts today. Just have to do a whole lot. Thought he had a couple plays where he kept it and maybe shouldn't have. But I also thought he did do a good job with his legs in certain instances as well. Their running game was on point. They've been against a really stout Niners run defense. They were able to get 3 rushing touchdowns. Sanders and Boston Scott both got in the end zone. I thought Gainwell had a big game as well. Their tight ends they got involved a little bit. Again, it was they were kind of up the whole way, and I think for me, once it got to 21-7 with the Niners quarterback situation, there just wasn't any chance. The Niners, that offense was not scoring 14 more points with Josh Johnson at quarterback. But that's now, 2 playoff games for the Eagles, and they've outscored their opponents, 69-14. And they are on their way back to the Super Bowl. Tremendous coaching staff there. Nick Sirianni's done a great job. And that defense is just so deep on the D-line. I can rattle off the names. We got Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Linval Joseph, and Ndamukong Suh. Josh Sweat, Hargrave on that D-line. That is just top to bottom, probably the most loaded defensive line in the game. And then the corners, you've got Maddox, Bradbury, So they're just loaded in the secondary as well. So they are on their way to the Super Bowl. The AFC game was much more interesting in terms of competitiveness. The Chiefs outlast the Bengals 23-20. Congrats to any Eagles and Chiefs fans watching this video. Congratulations. Congratulations to Niners and Bengals fans on a great season as well. But congratulations to any Chiefs and Eagles fans watching this. Certainly a much different game. I'll admit I actually missed the first, close to almost all the first half of that game. So I did see, oh, too tired late at night doing this. Um, from when I saw the Chiefs had trouble moving the football, I know looked like they were without Juju, and then I did see Kadarius Toney left with an injury. I'm assuming Juju got hurt as well. I didn't see that, but I didn't see him in the game. So, if let me know. I could go look it up, but I just haven't done it yet. So the Chiefs had to gut it out without a lot of weapons. MVS, I keep hitting a box underneath here. Marquez Valdez-Scantling stepped up, had a big game, went over 100 yards. Didn't see Kelsey involved as much. The Bengals D really did a nice job against the Chiefs, and I thought they did a nice job on Kelsey. Pacheco had a couple good runs and a couple good plays on passes late in the game, which opened things up. And Sky Moore had the big punt return, which ignited the game-winning drive. I thought there were some tough calls on the Bengals in this game. I don't never want to get into anything too, conspiracy theorist, but definitely thought there were some tough calls on the Bengals. That extra third down was a tough one. But, you can say, oh, that benefited the Chiefs, but if the Chiefs had gotten 30 yards on that play, it would have been blown dead as well. So the way it looks is like the Chiefs benefited from it, but just because the play result was, good for the Bengals, so the Chiefs do benefit. Had the Chiefs scored a touchdown on that play, oh my God, I'm so sorry, it would have been called back, and we'd be saying how the Bengals benefited. The late hit on Joseph Osai was probably the right call. It was tough. It wasn't anything malicious, but Mahomes was out of bounds, and he pushed him. My heart goes out to Osai. He had I think that's how you say it, Osai, the D lineman. He played a great game. He was in there a lot, getting pressure. Second-year guy, really played his heart out. Tough to see that. You could see him on the bench struggling with it. So hopefully, some teammates and coaches talked to him because he played a great game. And he was just trying to make a play. It's one thing when a guy, is trying to be tough and malicious and guy's out of bounds and he's mad and he pushes them when it's clear. It's another thing when a guy is just trying to make a play. Now, the penalty's a penalty. I'm not saying it shouldn't have been one. I'm just saying you're more gutted for the kid in that instance. So, but the Chiefs do move on. Hopefully they're getting some of their guys back healthy for the Super Bowl. And then Mahomes has now an extra 2 weeks to get that ankle, 100%. You could definitely see it bothering him. He was limping around a little bit, much more better mobility today than last week in Jacksonville, but you could still see it definitely bothering him. So hopefully in 2 weeks that'll be, back to normal for him. Thought the Chiefs defense really stepped up. I thought their pass rush looked really good. I know Romo and company kept praising the Bengals O-line. The Bengals O-line held up. They did what they could, but I thought there was constant pressure there. Dunlap got in there. Karlaftis I saw had a sack. Chris Jones had a couple sacks. So I thought their pass rush really came alive. And good for the Chiefs defense, which has kind of been maligned a little bit over the last few years, but it's actually, I think it's a decent unit. I don't think it's 85 Bears, but it is formidable. Like, it can stop offenses. It's not a joke out there. It is a good enough defense, and I like the D-line. It can get home and wreak some havoc. So my initial Super Bowl prediction, again, this is subject to change. I like the Eagles roster. I don't think the Chiefs pass rush is going to have that success they had tonight against that Eagles O-line. Jordan Mailata, Dickerson at guard. You've got Kelsey there, Leighton Johnson. I mean, that is just a loaded offensive line. I don't know if the Chiefs are going to be able to generate the pass rush that they did tonight against that Eagles offensive line. Love that Eagles D-line. If they can get some pressure on Mahomes, depending on how his ankle is doing, that could be tough. I don't think the Chiefs are going to be able to get the running game going. I don't know, maybe Kelsey against the Eagles linebackers is definitely a matchup that the Chiefs might be able to do some things on. I don't know about the Chiefs receivers against a tough Eagles secondary. I will say the part that gives me, okay, with the Chiefs, Jalen Hurts, first Super Bowl. He didn't have to do the last couple of weeks, and not his fault, but he hasn't had to do a whole lot in these 2 playoff games yet. Now, he has been in 3 playoff games. He was there last year too, but he hasn't been asked to. The team is on your shoulders right here. If that moment comes, who do you trust, Mahomes or Jalen Hurts? For me, it's Patrick Mahomes. He's been in these situations before. So if you do end up getting a back and forth game and it's close at the end, who do you trust in that situation? So I definitely see a lot of ways the Chiefs can win this game. But if Jalen Hurts is sound with the football, not making mistakes, makes the right read on those read options, the Eagles' defensive line is going to be key. Can the Chiefs' O-line hold up against them? If the Chiefs are able to, whether it's Andy Reid dialing something up here or, Travis Kelce just finding soft spots in a zone, if they're able to do some of those things, I think they're going to have a shot in this game. But I do think the Eagles are the better roster top to bottom over Kansas City. So my early prediction is the Eagles winning this game 23-16. Subject to change. Definitely, this isn't something where I'm like, oh, this clear as day. Like, the Chiefs are going to have a chance. I'm not knocking it. I will say I was 2 for 2 today. I did have the Eagles and Chiefs winning these two games today. So we'll see. I do worry a little bit about Jalen Hurts. Like I said, he didn't have to do a whole lot today, which I'm not going to knock him for that. It's not his fault. But, if he has to get in a game where he's throwing it 40, 50 times on the biggest stage in the world, or in America at least, how will he hold up? We know Mahomes can handle that pressure. And that's not to say that the Eagles defense won't get there against Mahomes either. The Mahomes is perfect. I'm just saying that, he does have that experience where Jalen Hurts doesn't necessarily. So I am going to take the Eagles. That is subject to change. I don't know what the spread is yet. I'm assuming it's got to be 1 or 2 or 3, one way or the other. I don't see anything real big. I would assume the Eagles are probably 2.5-point favorites, maybe something like that. And like I said, a lot depends on Mahomes' injury. Tony and Juju, are they coming back? You know what I mean? Stuff like that gives the Chiefs a few more weapons. I don't think the Eagles had many, any injuries today that I really saw. And again, though, it's going to be a lot different for the Eagles. Much different team going from the Niners to the Chiefs. Definitely a shame we didn't get to see that game at its full potential today with the Niners and the Eagles, because I think that could have been a really good football game. But it is what it is. That's football. So, if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. I am over 1,000 subs. Thank you once again to everybody that has subbed. I truly appreciate it. Getting ready for baseball season here. It's going to be a blast. So, just tune in for that. We'll talk Super Bowl. Maybe I'll have a couple more videos up before the Super Bowl, breaking some things down. So we'll see what ends up coming from it. Definitely a fun one. We've got Andy Reid back against the Eagles. We've got the Kelce brothers going at it here. I'm trying to think if there's any other tie-ins. I don't know if there's anybody else that played for both teams. There maybe is somewhere, but definitely those two alone are big storylines. So thank you again, everybody that subscribed. Hit that sub button, hit the like button, turn on the notifications, whatever you want to do, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.